Right, so we've been delving into the wild world of Major League Wrestling, aka MLW, as of recently on the channel in the last couple of months, and I've got to say, it is maybe my favorite wrestling product out there right now, just because of how unpredictable and how much of an absolute car crash and train wreck every single show that MLW puts on is. We watched MLW's two most recent shows, those being Slaughterhouse and Symphony of Horrors. We're past the Halloween themed shows now, and we're back to regular themed shows. Oh wait, no, we're doing a collab show with a tequila brand this time round for MLW. Yeah, the show we're going to be watching today is the MLW collaboration show with Don Gato Tequila, which took place this past Thursday on the 20th of November 2025. Just to catch you up, Don Gato is a guy in a luchador mask, and he's been appearing on the shows the last couple of months and promoting his tequila brand. And this is a collaboration show between the two companies. And yeah, I can only hope that MLW are getting paid a good bag from Don Gato Tequila, because they have been everywhere on the shows for the past few months in MLW. But yeah, enough fooling around, let's pay attention and let's focus on the task at hand, which is watching and reviewing MLW's collaboration show with Don Gato Tequila. So like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. As first of all, right out the gate, all I can say is what a brilliant setup they have tonight, with the curved big screen which looks amazing during matches as a backdrop. Production wise, they have smashed it with this show. It looks super cool and really good right out the gate. As this show opens with Cesar Duran, the former Dario Cueto of course, Selena De La Renta, Jesus Rodriguez, and Mr. Don Gato himself, who was sitting on a throne with his tequila, as they're out to the ring, as they always are to open these shows. I feel like it's always this crew of people who are opening the shows for MLW, and they just hype up the crowd here in Charleston tonight and run down the card, as of course they are interrupted by Ikuro Kwon, who comes out angry and demands a championship match. Cesar Duran says, sure, you can get your opportunity, but opportunities come with consequences, and says that Don Gato will be the ringside enforcer for his title shot later tonight. Doesn't really sound like a bad deal if you ask me, as he then randomly attacks Jesus and is met with Don Gato and his katana to end the segment. So yeah, seems like it's pretty easy to earn a title shot here in MLW, and hey, they kept this pretty quick and didn't drag it on, I will say. Usually I have a problem with these opening promos that go on and on and on, and usually I have no idea what they're talking about, but it was pretty clear what this was for, and they didn't drag it on whatsoever. They kept it nice and quick. We get the intro signature for the show, and then before we get into the action, the commentary team are doing shots with Don Gato and a couple of luchadoras. Hell yeah, I guess. And there's even a shot counter, and just like that, the wrestling show has turned into a drinking game. As first up on the card is women's action. It's Isla Dawn making her MLW debut here up against Scarlett Bordeaux. Isla Dawn attacks Scarlett Bordeaux early on here as the bell rings and this one gets going, as Isla takes control and dominates for the first couple of minutes, but despite the quick start for Isla, that's about all the offense she gets, as this one does not go long at all. Scarlett makes her comeback and she takes over. She hits a hip attack on Isla Dawn, and then shortly after she gets the finish and the win. And then Dawn immediately kind of no-sells the finish and sits up and just suddenly kisses Scarlett and then rolls out the ring. And Scarlett, for some reason, just seems not fazed by this in the slightest. It's just a normal occurrence, apparently. And that's just the entire segment and the entire match there. What a roller coaster that was. No interruptions or interference during the match. No BS, which was nice to see, or pre- and post-match promos. But that was just super quick and kind of finished before it even started. Anyway, it's tag team action up next, as the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, are out next to face the Skyscrapers of Dijak and Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, as this match is for the Skyscrapers MLW Tag Team Championships. It's pretty bog standard tag team action here. I really do like the Skyscrapers, and though I do like the Good Brothers too, I don't exactly go into Good Brothers matches expecting elite in-ring action, and you know, that's kind of what you get here. There's some cool power offense from the Skyscrapers, and they're in control for most of this one as the heels. It breaks down with all four of them as they they're hitting all signature moves on each other. Good Brothers make their comeback, but before they can do anything, the match is thrown away and the Skyscrapers are DQ'd after Dijak shoved one of the refs. Pretty weak DQ finish. You could have gone on with that ref. Come on, let it slide, man. They continue bullying the ref after the match and they all continue brawling post-match as it goes all the way to the back. Felt kind of like a waste of time segment, not gonna lie. What was the point in any of that? It did nothing for the Good Brothers especially. I would like to see the Skyscrapers do something more than having their matches end with a big brawl that goes all the way to the backstage area. They did the exact same thing with them on a recent show, if I can recall correctly. But yeah, it felt like a bit of a waste there, as next up is a three-way lightning match. It's Diego Hill, who was accompanied by national champion Blue Panther, up against Okamura and Stigma. A lightning match, just to remind you, is a match with a 10-minute time limit, which is funny as no match has gone 10 minutes so far and they weren't lightning matches, so it's funny to see them put a time limit at the bottom corner, as by the way, only 2 matches on this show go over 10 minutes, just to make it clear, FYI. It's some lightning quick action to be fair with these three, as it's obviously a short match here, so they fit a lot of stuff in. There's some good fast pace and high flying action with all 3 guys involved at all times, but the finish is a bit weird as Okamura low blows Stigma, then rolls out the ring just selling nothing, as Diego Hill then takes advantage and hits a springboard cutter and a corkscrew to get the win. He was the right choice for the winner, but what happened? Why did Okamura just roll outside? What was he selling? Regardless, I thought it was pretty good up until then, and Diego Hill is absolutely the future of MLW, so it was the right choice to give him the win, and they definitely need to invest in him and get him some good title opportunities and maybe a future match against Blue Panther. I imagine that is the direction they're teasing. But up next is 4-way lucha tag action, as Team 1 is Atlantis and Atlantis Jr., Team 2 is Defunto and Barboza, Team 3 is Felino and Felino Jr., and Team 4 is Blue Panther and El Hijo de Blue Panther. Sorry about any mispronunciation. For this one, there's no tag, it's just all 8 guys in the ring, which at the very least is better than a traditional 4-way tag, where it's just 2 guys in the ring and they can tag anyone they want. But I've always said I wish multi-man tags, it was just the exact amount of people would start in the ring. So if it's a 3-way tag, it's 3 people in the ring. A 4-way tag, it's 4 people in the ring and they can only tag their own partners. I don't get why multi-man tags aren't done like that, but I do definitely prefer it this way with all 8 guys just out there, as chaotic as it might be. But this match just ends up with a lot of the guys just standing around outside and just turns into a 4v4 anyway from the very beginning. What is the point? The heel 4 are in control most of the match, as they just numbers game the baby faces who do nothing about it all match other than stand on the apron all match and just watch, even though they aren't even on the same team. They have some comeback sequences which were fun to watch, but they're always stopped in their tracks, and then there's a horribly awkwardly botched pinfall finish where they had to do 2 counts and Barboza and Defunto got the win here, but oh my word was it awkward. The crowd couldn't tell what was going on and if that was the finish or not. Yeah, this was not good, really not good. So much went wrong, and what went right, so to speak, didn't really make any sense in itself. Like, why was it a 4-way tag that then just became an 8-man and the babyfaces were just stood there doing nothing, watching their babyface friend just get beaten down the entire time? What did I just watch? Anyway, up next is Priscilla Kelly up against Shotzi Blackheart, 2 women who are main characters of the channel at this point, as they are just everywhere in wrestling and always happen to be on a show that I'm watching for the channel. But I'm looking forward to this one, as this match has been built up in MLW for a while from the very first MLW show that I watched, so I am really excited for this. As this match gets going quickly as Shotzi Blackheart takes control, and then the screen suddenly goes black. It flashes a GPW Productions logo and then goes back to the action. I'm not really sure what that was, but that must be a tease for something going on in MLW soon. Maybe a stable? A stable led by Shotzi or Priscilla would be pretty cool in my opinion. Maybe something like that could be it. After that, the match slows down a bit as they exchange submissions and strikes. Shotzi continues to dominate though with some fun offense, but Priscilla also has her own. And I thought this match was pretty fun, but a problem I have with MLW is very much demonstrated in this match here. That being that a lot of MLW matches are cut short, sometimes right as it feels as though they're about to take it to the next gear and hit the next level of the match. This one, that was especially the case. Just as it felt like they were finding their rhythm and having a fun back and forth match, it quickly ends with Shotzi hitting her top rope senton and picking up the win over Priscilla Kelly. And I don't know, man, this match just felt criminally short to me. I liked the match, don't get me wrong, I thought it was fun and probably my favorite match of the night so far, but I really would have liked to see more. I don't have a problem with shorter matches or MLW doing them, there are effective ways to do them, but they do it a lot, and for this match especially, I kind of wanted to see more, as this match has been built up for multiple shows, and it felt like it ended kind of abruptly and didn't really last long for a match that had been built up for 2 to 3 months now. I like what I saw, but I was just left wanting more, as there is a teaser for MLW Fusion coming back in 2026, which is really interesting and great to see. I'm really looking forward to that. Next up, Guerrero Maya Jr. is taking on Ikuro Kwon and Templario, who is the middleweight champion and defending his belt in this match. This is the title shot that Ikuro Kwon was promised, so Don Gato is there as the enforcer. It's another short one, but this was short and sweet, I thought. I became a Templario fan since watching MLW, and I think Ikuro Kwon is a good heel as well. All three guys are involved throughout the entire thing, but you know it goes under 5 minutes, so not saying much. But there is a ref bump, of course, even in a match this short, as Ikuro Kwon looks to use the brass knucks, but Don Gato, the enforcer, does some enforcing, takes out Ikuro Kwon and revives the ref, who is suddenly fine now, how convenient, and Templario wins following that to retain the belt. I thought that was okay, I guess. We get an angle with Killer Kross pulling up to a gym to chat to Matt Riddle, who he's facing later tonight. Matt Riddle is talking to him like he wants to fix the match or is just confident he's gonna tap him out. He talks about his WWE and UFC tenures and calls NXT the Little Leagues, just throws a stray at NXT. And the two just kind of respectfully and passive aggressively debate each other about who's winning this match later on tonight. As next up is a bunkhouse match, as Brock Anderson is out with his father, the legendary Arn Anderson, and he's challenging Mad Cruel Kruger for the MLW World title. And yeah, out of everything I've seen in MLW so far, the one thing I've been very vocal about that hasn't impressed me whatsoever is the MLW World title scene. The first appearance I saw of the MLW World title was in the opener of the first MLW show I watched, in a 5-way electric cage kind of match with a bunch of ECW names and jobbers in there. CW Anderson got his brains fried out in that one, and then after that the world title was only appearing in a tag team match that ended in a DQ finish, so far the world title has not been booked well in my opinion in MLW, and I've been less than impressed with it. Just haven't been given any sort of positive impression of the MLW world title scene so far. Arn Anderson does a pre-match promo and gives a shout out to the Horseman Country crowd, and he invites CW Anderson to come back out, who has risen from the dead after getting his brains fried. So yeah, really it's now just Cruel versus the entire Anderson family, as all three Andersons attack Cruel with kendo sticks as we get this one started, and Brock takes control over the match and uses weapons to his advantage with the help of CW as well. But of course Cruel is doing his whole no selling and it's making him stronger gimmick whilst this goes on for minutes, and he's just getting beaten down and absorbing all of it. There's a ref bump as Arn uses a fire extinguisher. This is a bunkhouse match. Was the ref bump needed for that? Did he not need to see that? Why? And Brock Anderson gets a 2.9 count on Cruel, who kicks out, and then from there goes on a rampage and then just beats Brock like 30 seconds later, with that being the only offense that he gets in for pretty much the entire thing. Man, did this make Brock Anderson look like a complete chum. I was already kind of weary about him challenging Cruel to begin with because it just didn't feel like a world title match. And yeah, he just got made to look like a complete geek in this match here, and I continue to be less than impressed with Cruel's world title reign so far, and less than impressed with the entire MLW world title division and its booking so far, to be honest. Nothing of it has felt serious or prestigious. It hasn't felt like he's had any serious challengers to his belt yet, and so far Cruel has just been on a rampage destroying a bunch of jobbers that are placed in front of him. And the matches aren't exactly great either, they're pretty less than stellar, and I think this match here with Brock Anderson was probably the worst of it I've seen thus far, as the Andersons all raised their arms after, like, lads, you have nothing to celebrate here. But anyway, it's co-main event time, and it's a big one. It's the Opera Cup Finals, as this tournament has been running since I started watching MLW, and it's Volador Jr. taking on the god that is Mystico. He, of course, beat Austin Aries to get to this point, and Aries is unfortunately not on this show, as you might have already been able to tell. I was excited for this match, and it did end up the longest match on the card at just over 10 minutes. The face heel rolls are very defined here. It's classic Lucha Libre, as Mystico is of course just a god babyface, and anyone against him is just automatically a dastardly heel. As a match though, I thought this one was just fine. Obviously, it's classic Lucha Libre like I said, so it's very crowd interaction oriented in this one, and it was definitely one of the more normal matches on the card. But I just thought it was kind of average though, just fine like I said. Mystico versus Aries was probably the best match of the tournament, and this match was a lot more slower and methodical than that one was. Lots of gamesmanship and taunting with lesser flying you'd expect to see in this one, but it was okay like I said, and Mystico does get the win with the armbar and is the Opera Cup champion. He wins it back to back, and he's a worthy winner, and overall, this was a fun tournament. This final, it was just okay though. It wasn't the most exciting compared to the semi-finals in my opinion. But yeah, that is the Opera Cup, and that ends it. So until next year when Mystico wins it again for a third time, I guess. As it's main event time up next, it's Matt Riddle up against Killer Kross, who was out with Scarlett Bordeaux, and I did like and enjoy this main event here, mostly because it was just the most normal match on the card. Psychology wise, this match was totally sound. It had some good submission slash grappling slash MMA based offense throughout this one, and it got time too. It was the second longest match on the card and only the second match to go over 10 minutes on this card, and yeah, it was alright. I did like this one, but also it did have that same problem that a couple of other matches on this card had as well. I mentioned it already, it's just that it ended as it felt like it was getting to the next phase of the match, as Riddle is in control throughout the match, finding various submission counters for Kross, but Kross does finally make his comeback as he kicks out of Matt Riddle's top rope senton and gets his own submission hold on that makes Matt Riddle tap out. I thought this match was fine, but that finish really just came out of nowhere once again and was very abrupt once again. And that's how the show ends, with Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux standing on top as MLW x Don Gato comes to a close. Yeah, in terms of ratings and my overall thoughts on this one, I'm gonna give this one a 4 to a 4.25 out of 10, I would say is my final grade. I thought the production was good to start off with, the set was awesome and it really shone through as the matches were going on with the backdrop in the background. It looked really cool throughout the show. I thought that Don Gato money was being used well. Also on this show, there was not as many pre and post match promos, which there always usually is on MLW. It's the trademark thing. But yeah, all the mic time on this show I thought was effective tonight and did its job. I thought the main event was the best match on the show with Killer Kross and Matt Riddle, followed up by Shotzi Blackheart and Priscilla Kelly's match. The middleweight three-way was alright, and the lightning three-way was alright as well before the weird finish, which was one of the negative parts of the show, was that there was a bit of sloppiness and botchiness throughout this one. In particular, that botched ref count in that 8-way tag was just awful, and that match as a whole was pretty awful and awkward as well. I did not like that 4-way slash 8-man luchador tag match that just turned into a 4v4. It was something weird. And then there isn't really anything to say more about the MLW world title scene. The world title match was once again the worst match of the night. Kruger versus Brock Anderson was a total dud in my opinion, and I am just less than impressed with the MLW world title scene. We need some prestige back for this belt. And then the general problem of this show was that matches were just too short and didn't get to breathe, especially my two favorite matches of the night I really thought suffered from this problem. So I hope we do get rematches for Kross and Riddle and for Shotzi Blackheart and Priscilla Kelly, which I guess is a good thing they left us wanting more, but that's only a good thing if they do actually follow through with it and do these rematches and give us more. But yeah, 4.25 out of 10 I think is a pretty fair grade. I don't think the show was a tragedy. I don't think it was massively bad, but it was probably the worst MLW show I've seen so far since I started watching the company, unfortunately. A lot of the matches just felt kind of unimportant and forgettable, and it just felt like they were kind of inconsequential in the grand scheme of this show, and a lot of the matches, like I said, just ended abruptly before they could even get started. But yeah, it doesn't look like MLW are doing another show until January of 2026, so as far as I'm aware, this is the final MLW show of 2025, and wow, what a year and what a couple of months it's been for me following MLW in 2025. Though I wasn't the biggest fan of this show, I am still very much a fan of MLW and their unpredictable car crash of a product. And yeah, we'll definitely be back in 2026 talking more MLW and following them from show to show, and it's going to be interesting to see when and how MLW Fusion makes its return to the air. But regardless, that has been it for me on this video talking about the MLW X Don Gato show and the final MLW show of 2025, I think. So yeah, leave a like on this one if you did enjoy, and comment down below what MLW shows or any other wrestling shows you want to see me review next, and also give your thoughts on this MLW show if you've watched it yourself. Subscribe with those notifications on so you never miss a video on the Top 10 Wrestling channel. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye and keep on rolling.